Hello, everybody. Welcome to TecSocial and the launch of our second Intersect challenge with Protocase. I'm Bob Pelly. I work with Corp. Glad you could all join us tonight. I'm going to kick things off and talk a little bit about what the heck is Intersect, and then I'm going to turn it over to Doug Milburn, co-founder of Protocase, to talk a bit about what Protocase does and to tell us specifically about the challenge or the opportunity that we have. So what is the Intersect challenge? It's basically a program that was put together to help start new ideas. And what we're doing is we're partnering up with companies who have challenges or opportunities they want to share and help create those ideas so that companies can form. So we provide some guidance and support. There's a $5,000 award, and in this case, we're going to provide some access to a model of how to get niche customers for your product if you win the challenge. Of course, it doesn't happen without partners, and our big partner in this one is Protocase. So thanks to Doug and Steve, and Nicole has been really pulling a load on this one as well. So thank you to you guys for making it happen. And the Intersect program itself is also possible with support from Corp, COA, Nova Scotia Power, Springboard, the Nova Scotia Government, CBU, and Navigate Startup House. So thanks to all of those organizations to help make it happen. Who's eligible? Basically, any Nova Scotia-based startup that has less than $1 million in annual revenue, that has a head office in Nova Scotia, is or will be registered with the Nova Scotia Registry of Joint Stocks. And the entrance must also be a majority owner, that's 51% of the startup. And if you're a past participant of any of our Corp programs, you're also eligible to apply, again, as long as you meet those other criteria, particularly the one around revenue. So the dates, what are some of the important dates we're working toward in this initiative? We're launching tonight, of course. Thursday, the December 20th, that's in 2 weeks. We're actually doing a lunch and learn on business models. And that's to really help, in a lot of cases, people want to focus on the technical challenge. And what we're really trying to do with Intersect is build companies. So it's not just solving a problem or creating a product. It's about how do you bring that product to market. So we'll help you with that through that business model workshop on the 20th, and we'll even provide you with some lunch. Just let us know you're coming so we have enough. On December 28th, that's the submission deadline, and the deadline is midnight our time here at Atlantic. And we'll have a short list will be selected. We'll let people know shortly after the 28th. We'll have, for that short list, we're going to provide some expert office hours. So Doug and Steve and Nicole, and we'll have a few other people. Craig McMullen from SEED, the Center for Entrepreneurship Education and Development, will join us. We're going to bring somebody in that has some good sales and marketing expertise as well to help you figure out how to get the most out of your pitch experience when you're before the judging panel, and that is on Wednesday, January 16th. And that's a live event. It's open to the public, and we'll see pitches and announce the winner that night and present a big check. The check is not real, but if the follow-up money is. So submissions, it's quite simple. We're actually looking for a PowerPoint presentation that has 6 slides. And the slides, again, are very simple. Slide 1, just a cover slide, who you are, how do we get a hold of you by phone and by email. Slide 2, what is it that you're proposing to do for your business opportunity. Slide 3, describe your business model. That's how you're going to make money as a business. Slide 4, why is this idea or product a good one? Slide 5, why are you or your team a good fit for this business opportunity? And then slide 6, if there's anything else you want to add, you can. Submissions will be accepted online. You just upload that either in a PowerPoint format or PDF. Again, by December 28th at midnight. We say 11:59, but if you're right at midnight, we'll still take it. That's just for clarity, the 11:59 stuff. So judging, we have 2 rounds. Round 1, the review committee will look at those PowerPoint slides and then create a short list, just so we don't have too many pitches in one day. We'll follow up with everybody and provide some feedback and let you know how you did, how you could have done better. And then round 2 is, again, doing a public pitch, so anybody can join. And the panel will listen to the pitches. There'll be 5-minute pitches, 5 minutes of Q&A, and the judges will deliberate and then come back and announce the winner, and then provide some feedback on why the winner was chosen and what have you. Last time somebody said it was a bit like there's a TV show on Forged with Fire, where you make the knives and the axes and stuff, and somebody said it reminded them of that. So I don't know, hopefully that's a good thing. We have all of this information is available in an information kit as well. That's available on the InnovaCorp website. So you don't have to, if you're trying to scramble down notes and stuff, everything is there. The event tonight is being webcast, and we're actually going to have the video on the InnovaCorp site tomorrow as well, and that's innovacorp.ca/intersect. We've got little business cards over there, so you don't have to commit that to memory even. It's just trying to make it easy for you. What are we looking for when we assess our PowerPoint slides that come in? Basically, it's the stage, so it's early stage. The people, do you have some industry knowledge? Do you know a little bit about what you're proposing? And do you have some management experience? The market, is it a big market, growing, international? And in this case, Doug is going to talk a little bit more about that. Also, we're hoping for something that's a little bit of a niche market as well. Competition, is there a barrier to competitive entry? And then finally, execution. Can you build a credible plan to reach some key milestones? We're not saying everybody has to have all of these, but when we look at sort of the ideal situation, this is what we're trying to line up against. So the challenge, I'm going to turn it over to Doug, and he's going to talk a bit about give an overview of what is mass customization manufacturing, talk about the Protocase story, show a short video on the Protocase production capabilities, and talk about the challenge, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. So I will turn it to you, Doug.
Okay, thanks, Bob. I have to talk into this microphone thing here, right? So, okay, that's good. So all the people out there in Webland can hear me. Good. Yeah. So we've been plugging away. How many Protocase people and 45 Drives people here? Hands, please. It's pretty awesome. So we've been plugging away for a lot of years, and we now have become a significant business in our market niches. Recognize we have a presence in, if you're a scientist or an engineer, if you're in Silicon Valley and you build electronics or computers, and you need metal work done, and you need specifically enclosures, but also metal associated with electronics, people just say, oh yeah, you get that from Protocase, right? So we're top of mind, we're number one in what we do in a relatively narrow niche. Taken a long time to do that, but and in 45 Drives, video marketing, Nicole and Chris, and good solid product. It integrates totally into Protocase, and a great support team and R&D team. But our lead, you can have great companies, great products, but if you can't sell stuff, you're nowhere. And video has been our secret. And in 45 Drives, I think you said 22 million views that we count up roughly on the key videos that are out there right now. And we're at a point where people coming from places like, Disney was a recent one that came, and you go, where'd you find out about us? Well, YouTube. And it's really cool. And, I'm thinking of this. I can just name all these enterprise customers. I'm trying to pop them out of my head because they're just so normal to us. HBO, has their stuff. Boeing, what's that?
Apple, Nike.
Yeah, Apple bought from us. That's pretty cool. Intel runs a cluster of 30 of our machines. So that's pretty cool. That's YouTube that did that. But it's very narrow niche. It's huge storage. Not a lot of people in here probably have huge storage servers at home, and it's probably not nobody in Sydney really. Actually, there's a handful of CBU has some, but it's a real niche, right? So anyway, we've spent years and years, and we've worked our butts off developing in the background. We got these market presences, okay, which is the thing you need to be a successful business, you need a market presence. But then you have to be able to fulfill the demand you create. And in doing that, we do something called mass customization. We make very, very custom products for very niche, very focused markets. And I don't want to talk too much about how we do it because it's probably not that interesting. It's a lot of mundane details, massive amount of details. And people are into manufacturing and love it. It is all little details, little problems. There's a big software backbone. And that other theme I'm going to talk about, it's the world of software. People still think that software is a new kind of business. Software is, Gates made his money 40 years ago, got his market presence 40 years ago, So it's an old business. But software, when you couple it to things, becomes incredible because it delivers an experience to your customers. So you think about that, coupling software to things. That's what we've done. We've coupled software, and an idea is called mass customization. Mass customization, manufacturing. Manufacturing is an old business. Everybody knows that in general. And it's become so easy, so formulaic that you can do it in any relatively unsophisticated corner of the world where people were still working on the farms and the rice paddies, whatever else. You take them up and put them in a factory, and they can make brilliant products. And shipping is easy these days. They go in a ship and they ship all over the world. And so competition's done its things, made us incredibly prosperous worldwide. But mass production is a tough place to go into because it's an old business. Competition has beaten everybody up to the benefit of the consumer, right? The consumer benefits from that. People working in it, not so much. Software is now an old business. Competition's beating them up. You want to go do the business startup, and there's so much emphasis in software these days. I'm going, okay, cool. I got the App Store. So easy to sell your apps. No, why not? Because there are hundreds of thousands of apps in there right now. And Douglas and I were talking. He said, numbers in ballpark numbers that he remembers. Somebody said the average app on there costs about $10,000 to develop. It's for free if you're a volunteer, but if you want to value your time, it's dollars like that. And the average revenue for it's $700. So software is a tough place to be. Mass manufacturing, tough place to be. Anyway, mass manufacturing, it moves out. On the other side, there's custom. If you go to England and you want a really fancy suit, you go down to the bespoke, that's their word for custom in England. You go to the bespoke district in London, they got a bunch of tailor shops. You go and you get measured, tell them what fabrics you like and whatever else, and they'll make a suit for you. It's going to cost you £5,000, and you're not walking out with it the same day. Okay? So it's slow, it's expensive, and you got to go to them. But custom has been around forever. It's been there long before mass production was around. Those two bookends were there forever. So there's kind of continuum in between those. Configurator, the idea of Dell Computer, they will call themselves a mass customizer in that they made their products, you ordered them, their early business model was you order them and then they build them the way you want them, right? Well, it's the way you want them. It's sort of like you get a meal at McDonald's. They'll make your meal the way you want it, but it's off the menu, right? It's discrete choices. So we call that configurator. And although they'll call it mass custom, cars are arguably made that way. Somebody was telling me BMW says that they have so many options that, in their high-end models that no two cars are the same. So if you have enough options, pick A or B here, pick A, B, or C. Color, you can have 5 different colors. You can have 2 different sizes. You can have whatever. You put enough choices in there, the number of permutations in the thing is big enough that things become unique at that point. Is that really custom? I don't know. We go a step farther. We have continuum geometry. You want to build metal things, we can build things. Metal things have faces and they have bends. And you think about that, and there's a bunch of constraints on it, but we can make any length face and we make any angle bend. There are constraints on it, but we can do that. And then we got accessibility for bending and stuff like that. But we can basically go a lot farther than picking A, B, C for the categories. So we would argue that we're really mass custom. And that mass custom space means that somebody can come, but we take all the principles of mass production and we take lean manufacturing as well. So it means we can make something that somebody considers to be highly custom, but we can make it in, you know, in our business, we make stuff in 2 to 3 days, which is considered to be absolutely magic. Nobody else in the world, you say, fully finished, painted, you know, printed on, you know, multiple parts in assembly, it's in 2 to 3 days. And the rest of the industry says, impossible, and they dismiss us. Our customers, we have like, I don't know, 15,000 of them or something like that. I don't have an exact count right now. They don't dismiss us. So it's cool. We did some work with MIT about, I think it's going back 5 years ago and maybe a little bit more than that. And a guy from MIT did his PhD studies on us, and there's a group down there that studies, among other things, mass customization. In their words, they said we're the farthest along the mass customization route of any companies that they know of to date. So cool. And we are doing, you know, we're 200 employees now, and we have growth curve. Here's our problem. Actually, let me see what my other slides say. I should follow my slides. Yeah, okay, I already talked about that. Good. Glad to put these slides together. So before we get to the problem, yeah, a little bit of Protocase, yeah. So I talked lots about it. 2001, Steve and I, this is Sydney, everybody knows anybody anyway. So yeah, 3 buildings underway. Building 2 is expanded. 180 employees and counting. 12,000 customers. So that's old. And we any name that's a name in technology buys from us. You pop a name out of your head, and we can probably go in our customer database and find somebody that buys from us. And that's pretty cool. And we keep growing every year at average about 30% over the last, I don't know how many years we looked at, 7 years in the graph we looked at, we averaged 30% per year, which is pretty cool. And our 45 drives division grew 50% last year, and its growth is accelerating. So interesting things happening. So we have this huge lead in mass customization. We've learned a bunch of fundamental lessons in mass customization. And it's funny, when you get into things, you start developing lead in something, you start to see opportunity everywhere. Right? And we sit in the middle of a community that's, you know, got its economic struggles and everything else, and we see nothing but opportunity. Here's our problem. We have 45 drives and customers who love us, and we have Protocase core customers that love us. We're moving into, you know, we're spreading out in terms of the offerings we have there. And every ounce of energy we have is put into solving problems and scaling things up right now. Great problem to have. Okay. And here's what bothers me a little bit. We sit in the middle of this community, and we see a lot of startup energy, and you know, there's been some other great companies that have started up here, but we're really, really, you know, Stephen and I think, you know, our culture and Protocase generally love to see more, you know, we want to see the next big growth company come out and break out, right? And you don't have to get big either. You just next growth company, come in and grow and get your roots and become number one in your niche. We'd love to see it happen. I see a lot of effort into things. People come in, and when they're not working in a field, you are not connected to people who have real cash that they're spending and have real problems. So it gets tough to see things. And if you're not working in a specific field, you don't see the other end of it, which is new technology and opportunities to it. We're in there and we see both of them, but our hands are tied by our own growth, by our own success on it. So startup community here, and I've been saying for a long time that we would love to share the knowledge we have in mass customization and with people who are entrepreneurs who would, and talk a little bit about that, who are entrepreneurs who are looking for that, you know, soft spot to go and start a business. And you start a business, my advice, I started one at the start that was really hard, Advanced Glazings, which is still going and doing extremely well now, but extremely hard. Then Protocase, which was just kind of hard. You know what? My advice to the budding entrepreneur, pick something easy. Nothing wrong with 25 years of grueling work and almost killing yourself over it. But you know what? There's way easier paths, and you see them in hindsight. Oh, I wish I could go back there and do that again. I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, I would have done some things differently. Yeah, I definitely would have. I was going to lie there and say I was all great, and maybe I wouldn't do anything different, but I'd be totally bullshitting if I said that. So yeah, we'd love to. Just a little thought, and so we've learned, and being in several different areas and having dabbled in a third area, a bunch of principles about niche business, and about marketing and selling, that continuum of mass production all the way over to custom and everything in between. We have learned a bunch about how people see things. So if you're a custom shop and you say, great, I can make metal for you. You know, Protocase could start up, we're a metal fab shop. I can make metal for you. What do you make? Anything you want. Right? You've just asked people to start with a blank piece of paper. Nothing people hate worse than giving them a blank piece of paper. Set up a problem, put a slot in the middle and say, figure out the answer to that. People love that. They dive into that and they love that. Give them a completely blank piece of paper. It's only very small number of people that can design from scratch and fill that in. So you have to say you have total choice and you expand totally to be a custom manufacturer. It doesn't just work out in the marketplace, but there's a bunch of tricks to that. And the tricks are, as you come up with things like templates and patterns and things like that are sort of generalized representations of things. And then customers can take those and fill in a bunch of parameters on them and then come up with a product that's useful to them without having to be a skilled designer in it. We've learned a bunch of stuff about that. That's why, and I'm not really following our slides here at all. So I think speed. You know, start a business, if you can get stuff to people fast, they love it. If you have a long time frame, you're asking people to break in their attention, and people have short attention spans. And people take many weeks when they're trying to buy things, trying to find somebody to make it for them really fast. It's really paradoxical. It's stupid actually, and people like to procrastinate. But humans are humans. Go with what they are and look after their needs. No minimum order. Being able to make stuff in exceedingly small quantities. Mass customization is about making custom items, things that can be unique individual items, but being able to use mass manufacturing efficiency, mass manufacturing quality principles, and just the simplicity with which you can manufacture things mass. But if you can make it custom to people and make it fast, you got a killer formula that will work in so many places. Absolutely so many places. Why do I keep hitting the wrong button here? Okay, so let's do it that way. Good. Let's see that. So this is a Chris McGean production you're looking at here. Just a little look at what we do in the Protocase production facility. We actually, I think we use this for new employees coming into manufacturing. So we always say to people that come to visit our plant, we say, don't expect to see anything exciting in our plant. I mean, it's the latest in technology in metal manufacturing, okay? But there's nothing unique in it. What's unique about us, why are we growing? Most of the fab world says manufacturing is a tough place to be. Times are tough, competition is incredibly difficult. And we keep on growing. Well, competition is difficult because there's people like us out there. And we're figuring out how to tie it all together and offer what these machines can do, tied together by this piece of software, and get this choreographed dance that starts when a customer designs in their computer, either in our software. And let's talk about that. When it goes in our software, which Douglas Roney has led the development of our Protocase Designer software, when they take a mouse and they move a circle over onto a face of an enclosure, they're basically setting a chain of digital events into place that will end up with developing a program that actually moves that laser that we just saw there, right, with very, very little human intervention. And on that route, which is the most optimized route, our engineering and design services people do what humans do best, and they look at people's designs and they decide, help the person just solve problems. And then when the stuff comes in, they look at it and say, yeah, is this all sensible like a human would want it? And we've eliminated so much of the stuff that's just, we've automated a whole bunch of stuff, and we've let our humans do stuff on the human plane. And so we've become very efficient using this equipment that other people use in the mass manufacturing or job shops or the intermediate world. Right? And here's the point of it. By tying together how customers interact and how they wish to interact in a niche, okay? Niche gets rid of your competition problems, okay? And you tie that together, and then a sensible use of software to pull everything together and manage details. You can do work that feels like you're getting personal attention and getting custom stuff made for you in the old-fashioned way, but without the incredible inefficiency and extremely high cost that the traditional way has. And the other insight we had is that the stations that we manage under a mass customization model and the software built, it's not just metal manufacturing. We manufacture computers under it. Actually, once Bob's got off his YouTube there, well. So the challenge, and Bob had this, we're kind of fitting Protocase into the challenge. The challenge was more, here's a company and we have a need. We have a company that has a whole host of knowledge that goes from market. And a lot of it, we have specific market knowledge. We have also very general market knowledge about mass customization, how to do software. We have a software platform that's been laboriously built over, we really started our software in 2007. We really started building out that software. And we can couple it to any kind of stations to make anything that can be made by batch manufacturing processes. Okay? Batch means station, moving it from one station, adding value, moving it to the next station. Okay? And we can do that extremely well. And we have our two big areas, 45 and core, that move. We now have machining that's moving very, very nicely to apply it to machining, and it works absolutely great. What we look at is we would love to see some of this knowledge get out. We're leader mass customization sitting here in our community. We have more opportunity than we can deal with, and really opportunity for entrepreneurs to come in and say, okay, if they can wrap their mind around things, not just software, but things, and how to tie this stuff together in these principles. Mm-hmm. We'd love to, coordinate with people and have people come in here and develop business ideas and see if we can help people grow, and with us being willing to get involved in a whole bunch of different levels. Like, we're wide open flexibility in how we get involved. That makes sense? No, I'm not sure if that. Keep Art's next big growth company. Long tail universe. Anybody here heard of the long tail concept? Yes, the long tail concept is, once upon a time, if you did a plot of take products and sort them by the volume they're at, you get a curve that would look like this. Okay, and volume, most things were in fairly mass volume, and there's a limited number of products. Now, if you do that number of products, the number of products has amplified incredibly. The number of things that are mass, like Walmart owns it all, right? In China, that's the only stuff that's been made mass. And so there's a very small number of extremely high volumes, right? And you want to find variety, you find the same damn products when you go into Walmart or you go into the other whatever stores. It's the same stuff coming out of the same factories in China making the same stuff, right? That's the mass. So that's gotten extremely high and extremely narrow and extremely concentrated. Very few channels for that. But there's a huge number of diverse, specialized products out there now. A really high variety of it. And that's the long tail on that curve. That's going on here, these smaller volume, higher value products. That's where we live in Protocase. And in Protocase is a custom manufacturer. You could say, the way our MIT people look at it, we just make a extremely large variety of products. Some of them we only make once for people. Oh yeah, the customer designs the products, not us. That's the other thing. So we're in that long tail at exceedingly small volumes. But there's just a huge amount of space, and that's where the growth is. And if you want to go down there in the Walmart world and do mass production, I mean, forget it. I mean, people don't even think about doing that really in the first world anymore because there's no value in it. Only value on it if you have huge volumes. That's what the long tail means. So it's niche products. Bob said to his slide there, I take exception to one of the bullets he had there on that where it said a big market. I'd say a big enough market to make it interesting for you. Okay? You don't want a huge market. You absolutely don't want a huge market. You got a huge market. The minute you go in there and start to show some promise, somebody else is going to come in, and it may be a 800-pound gorilla that decides to jump into your little feeding space. You don't want to do that. Your protection, and he talks protection market, your biggest protection is pick a niche that's a certain size, and there's a certain amount of work that it takes to get in there, and jump on this mass customization backbone, because that's a huge amount of work to do that. Vast majority of product companies can't do what we do. The vast majority. There's way more opportunities than there are other companies that can jump in and do mass customization. So there's your protection. Protection is not patents. Patents are a useless thing. They really don't work anymore. Your protection is to go into a space that's not big enough to attract the gorilla. Okay, that you can have your own time, know your customers, and look after your customers, build great relationships, and build products that are good enough to make them happy. You do that, you're good. You're protected. What is that? Going in reverse all the time. I think my thumb's too big to press the thing properly. We'd say use our backbone. Okay? A lean startup. Everybody in here must have heard of lean startup. The idea of lean, do the minimum you can to get to your next waypoint along your journey. Okay? You want to start a business? What's the biggest uncertainty in almost every business startup? Anybody wish to volunteer an answer to that? Whether people will buy it or not. Okay? You have some things there's uncertainty whether you can make it or not, but even if it's difficult to make, you still have an uncertainty whether people will buy it and whether they'll pay a price that's sufficient to make it worth your trouble. Okay? That's your biggest thing. So a lean startup, the idea is get a minimum viable product out there, get it out as fast as you can, and focus on how you get the message out there, how you market it, and how you sell, how you interact, how you go. And in the mass custom world, you got to go directly to customer. Okay? So if it's product, it's internet for the information exchange, and it's FedEx or something similar for delivery. Although we have one project I'm going to talk about here, potential place that would require local dealer networks. It doesn't have to be a FedEx delivery. So FedEx delivery, people can deal with that, but that's what it means most of the time. But our manufacturing background is there, and that is the point of this, is to figure out how to use what's already there, and whether it's a product made by what's there today, or whether it's other stations that fit in under that infrastructure, that can be done very quickly and easy. But don't mess around, don't burn up any of your capital. Why would you risk large amounts of money to set up? So many people come around there, I got to set up a production facility. And they just get ass backwards. Don't set up your production facility. Figure out any way to get product. Even if it costs you 10 times what you're going to sell it for. Okay? For your early product. I don't mean your later product. You'll go broke. The old accountant joke. Our margins are negative. It's okay. We'll make it up on volume. So, but whatever. CFO loved that joke. Only accountants would really find that funny. So. But seriously, people get caught up and they go, okay, I want to make my first 10 items to go see if people will pay the price. I figure I can make them for $1,000, and I look at that and I think the market price for them is $5,000, right? But I don't have a production facility, so I can't make them for $1,000. That's assuming I had whatever. Well, can I get them made by somebody else? Yeah, it's going to cost me $10,000. People go, well, that's stupid. Why would I buy something for $10,000 and sell it for $5,000? There's a really good reason for that, because if you messed around building a production facility and you spent $500,000 on it to get 10 things that you're going to get for $50,000, you just saved 90%. Math, right? Yeah, you saved 90% by doing that. Yes, you lost on your transactions, But what was your point of it? Was your point to make money on your first 10? Well, either way, if you did your production facility and spent half, like, oh, you haven't made money on them anyway, right? Either way, you're not going to make money in your first 10. What are you doing it for? To learn whether your hypothesis that my product idea is of value to this group of people, and they are willing to take cash out of their pocket and slap it down and buy it, and when they buy it, they're happy. And they don't complain and say, I want my money back. Because that's the uncertainty. That's lean startup. That's it. That's lean startup. You go do that with a mass production facility here, go figure out what you can make, and then go figure out how to do that. Once you've done that and sold, now you're going to have a little bit of momentum, and then you're going to go figure out, well, do I just go make more of them? How do I make them for lower cost? And you can get, then all of a sudden, and at that point, it's like, no, the mass customization facility is too expensive. I need to do something else. Well, good. It doesn't matter. You have total freedom at that time. So many times, though, what we see is that the mass customization thing, if you've chosen your niche properly, good, you just go and you do that. And then you get to build your business. So if your goal is that you want to build a factory, don't do that. You can go get a bunch of money, build a factory, and then you can go see if you can, maybe how do I sell that stuff? I mean, you knock yourself out. If you can find people to give you money to do that, good. Very, very hard to find people that give you money to do that these days. If you want to build a business, business is about creating something of value, or obtaining something. You don't have to create it yourself. You're obtaining something of value. Go out and find the people who like to buy it for more than you obtained it for. And making them happy so they tell their friends, because that is your marketing, your ultimate marketing. If you're not making your customers happy, you're not going to get good word of mouth. You get bad word of mouth, you're done. It ain't happening. It's not happening. So it's about selling stuff that people want to buy voluntarily, are happy to pay the price. They're happy. You've got profit left over. That's a business. If you're not interested in that, you're not an entrepreneur. There's all kinds of people. I've talked to, I don't know how many people over the years about startups who love the idea of somehow being in a business and having their business and whatever else, but they're just really not interested in that part of it. And if you're not, this is not for you. And I would also suggest for you, you probably should find somebody to partner with who is intensely interested in that. And you should figure out how not to make yourself baggage to them, because that's the person that starts your business. You don't have to know a bunch of stuff with everything. You just have to have a passion for getting there and figuring out whether you ever become the salesperson or whatever else. You don't have to. But what you got to do is you have to have deep respect for the fact that that is the core of the game. And when you get that right, everything else falls in place. But you got to build your business around that, not the other way around. The old days in capitalism and mass production, people built product. And you had a world that was starved of product. If you go back 100 years ago, and you could build anything that's shiny and sophisticated looking, and people would, they'd come to you. That dropped off, 40 years ago or 30 years ago. That age ended. It's not there. You got to do it the other way around. You got to go find the people, and you got to fit to the people. People used to fit. The white bread era, the off-the-rack clothing era. Still lots of it left over, but it's people fit themselves to product today. It's the product fits people. That's where you got to go on it. The end of this, and we'll get to our examples. Okay, let me do it backwards every time. Okay, don't compete. When you niche, move sideways. We make large storage servers. Super Micro makes large storage servers. They make the Chinese, Taiwanese company. Make good solid stuff. Similar price points to what we do. Dell EMC division. The Dell bought EMC a few years ago. They're enterprise storage. They make fairly large storage servers. They're the default choice. They're the 800-pound gorilla in our segment. Okay. Do we compete with them? Yeah, but no. We focus on people that when they go buy Dell, you buy Dell, you pay 10 times the price. You buy Dell EMC. You get all the stuff that if you're enterprise, you get a certain respect and a service and a stuffiness and an attitude and all that kind of stuff. And yes, sir, what can I do with your order, sir? It's enterprise. It's a world, and they get a bunch of things. And nobody ever got fired for buying from 800. It used to be nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. And it was Microsoft. There's always the dominator. They're the dominator, and good, they can have that position. The Supermicro and there's other Chinese. Chenbro and some other companies, the Chinese product, they'll give you good product, probably good product. You won't be able to read the manuals, and you don't really get help from them. Like, what do What do you get when you buy 45 drives? You get the pricing of the Chinese. How do we get that? Because we're direct to customer, have low cost distribution channels. We save their money mostly in the distribution channels. And we have a service division, right, Rob? Rob manages for us. And when you come, we don't just provide you, we don't just hand you off hardware. Okay? And what we do is you get what you pay for in terms of your service, and you buy from us, you're gonna be up and going. And then this is specialized stuff. And even if you're a great big company or Disney or an Intel or something, they don't run these clusters. Their IT people don't run these clusters. This is storage, single servers or storage. It's a world that most of what they do is not that. So it's specialized knowledge. So they want to buy in some of that, and they need us standing behind them, just like if you bought from an enterprise vendor. And we have we're like more like a Red Hat is in software. And you don't pay big license fees because it's all open source software that they provide you, but you pay them for the service you get. So that's our model of that. So we have our niche, and nobody else has taken that niche up. So it's a really cool space to be. So we meet that do not compete. There's all kinds of people who make electronic enclosures on the Protocase core side. They make them under different business models. There's nobody else that will make you like a onesie. If you're a scientist at NASA and you're sending a space probe to Mars and you need a single enclosure for your launch controller, they don't want to make that for you. So we take the work that people don't want. Nice, comfortable place to be. Okay. And why don't the other companies come in there? Because they need mass. Their business models all need some numbers in them to go there. So they don't want this stuff. They hate it. In fact, a lot of them like to call us up. I got this customer, he's a really good customer, but he wants some prototyping work, or he wants some one-offs. Would you do that for us? Oh, I'll twist my arm. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll do that for you. And then likewise, we don't do like really mass, and everybody else in the industry, when they do prototype stuff, they say, oh, you're just doing that because you don't have work right now. You want to move up the mass. No, we don't. We love our customers. We look after them. We specialize in doing that. And we're really, really good at it. So we stay there. We stay in a space where there's very little competition. There are other people who do this work for you. So don't get me wrong. It says, no, if you ever say I don't have competition, it's not true, because somebody's dollars are going to get spent somewhere. The needs are going to get satisfied the vast majority of the time. So, but yeah, if you go and bang your head on other people, it's just life's too short to go up against serious competition when you don't have to. Yeah, we already talked about product versus software. I mean, software is great. I have total respect for software development. Spend many, many hours developing software myself. Software alone, that ship has sailed largely. The person who's make the next Microsoft, it's not happening. That category is established. Nobody has any grand shortages of software they want to get. But so you want to do software, you either have to tie it in deeply with service, or what we are moving into is to tie it together with product. I mean, people tie together with product like Amazon. I guess that's what they do, right? They tie software in with product and delivery in the consumer space. Okay. We tie product, in with custom manufacturing, right? It happens to be mass custom in behind. Doesn't matter to the customer, right? It's custom. They're getting custom stuff, and it's a software tie-in. So that's the software relationship. And if you are an entrepreneur and you wish to do stuff and software development is part of it, you need to think really, really hard about how you go and what your business model is. And I tell you, there's a soft spot there. Tying it together with custom product. Tying together the product is still open somewhat. I mean, not the consumer world. That's going. You have to really niche out to get there. In the business world, there's space there. But tying together custom product, that's frontier. The MIT guys, yep. They tell us, they say, you guys are the farthest along in mass customization that we have seen of all the people. That's 5-6 years out of date. Maybe there's some other people coming up, but okay. It says use cases or projects. So we talked about core metal making enclosures, and we talked about 45 drives. We talk about brand metal. I have Richard here, who's spends all kinds of time with Matthew Giorgio. So Matthew Giorgio is a bunch of people in here who know him. Incredibly creative guy and incredibly entrepreneurial guy. He has a love. I hope I'm doing service when I describe this thing to this, but he has a love and a passion for design, for designing nice looking things, and a lot of it comes through, and it's come through in his companies, in the Go Cape Breton and the like, and also in MediaSpark, and that's Matthew's like aesthetically and it loves combining aesthetics and function. So he also likes doing this physically. So he started a company called Brand Metal, and if you don't know of it, you should go check it out. And brandmetal.com. Yeah, that's .com.
There are links to all of these in the info kit as well.
Okay, go have a look at it. So his passion for design, and he set up a website where you can go and you can buy decorative stainless steel, basically signage and like for offices and things like that. Yeah. If you walk in, my friend Kevin Burns Dentistry, you walk in to his office down in the mall next to Meza, and you'll see a great big stainless steel sign behind there. That's his company. He sold that. Okay. But Matthew might like cutting and sanding metal. I don't know. Richard, do you think he'd like doing that, or pretty dirty business? So, it's nice to have a laser, and they cost $1 million each. So if you're, if it's a small, very niche business, it's tough to do. So anyway, we do the manufacturing behind for him, and it's totally blind to the customer, where it's completely white labeled. They come and they deal with him. The customer experience is his, and what happens is an interface where he does all his design, he does the selling, and then an order comes into our system. It's nicely integrated, comes into our system, and a customer, we package and we deliver. Well, sometimes it goes to them, sometimes it's delivered directly, sometimes it gets shipped right to people. And so there you go, starts a business, and completely done on a lean model. He didn't go and do any grand capital investment. He put lots of work, lots of sweat into building something like that. You need the website, you need your idea, you need your pitch, your selling, and all that stuff. So there's a lot of work goes into it, but he didn't have to go out and build himself a manufacturing plant to do it. Okay. So that's Brand Metal. And Countertop Brewery. Just looking around there. So Countertop Brewery is in Chicago. They're in the Midwest. And, anybody here brew their own beer? No beer brewers here?
Used to, yeah.
When I was in grad school, a bunch of people in the mechanical engineering department were into brewing, and I brewed, I kind of got the bug from them, and I brewed a lot of beer. Some of these guys were really brilliant at it, and brewing beer is about taking malt and putting it in water, keeping it at just controlling all the parameters, temperature and time parameters and amounts. Anyway, this guy's created a countertop device that will let you brew that is probably better than any professional brewer that you'd get. Okay? Small batch and with intricate control of the parameters. So, and he built this. This is like a home scale business, and he's building it. And we make a whole bunch of countertop brewings stuff that. So they could have gone out and again, build a manufacturing plant and buy all the equipment. No, this guy focused on beer brewing, focused on selling it, and does it at a scale. And it's not a huge scale yet, and maybe it could become a huge scale. It's a real niche. People want to brew really top quality beer. That's a niche. And Jason's Customs. Guy came to us years ago. He's trying to build like a video arcade game. Like there's all these classic, Pac-Man and I don't know, all the other stuff back from arcades from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, the early days of video. And so he started building one of these, and we have this fancy digital printing equipment, and he needed panels. Like he wanted to basically make mock-ups of these things. These things are long obsolete. You can't buy them anymore. A lot of the companies are gone now. So he's recreating these things. And he started off thinking a hobby to do one, and then people loved it so much that he started making them. So there's another thing where somebody's taking a niche, very, very narrow, but definite solid appeal to certain groups of people. And, again, this is a small scale niche, but he's really grown in that. And so he get some big bursts of business, their projecty business, kind of up and down, but some big bursts of stuff. And anyway, really cool stuff. We get to some stuff, and then this is stuff that's not going yet, and these are just some ideas that we've had that I want to throw stuff, and just to get you the sense of where we can go. Ceramic tile, Napoli pizza, an institution in Cape Breton. Anyway, Napoli came along and actually expanded after decades of being just the classic Napoli, and they built their little dining room on the side there. You go in the dining room, you'll see the Napoli pizza dude off the pizza boxes that were probably the same since 1964 in ceramic tile on the floor. We did that for them. We had a station that was a water jet cutter. And I was enamored of water jet cutting because you can cut just about anything in water jet cutting. And there's no restrictions really on the cutouts. You can cut anything you can draw pretty much. So along came Napoli, and talking to them, and they were building that expansion, and they said, "Pizza box, can you do one of them?" We had a person hired who was doing this stuff at the time, and he took it and he took that line drawing, and you have to make it into puzzle pieces basically, and you can pick different color puzzle pieces. And I mean, mosaics and stuff like that are done. It's all the same thing. It's been done for thousands of years, but it's just been done by hand, right? And what we're doing, and you'll see these things places, you go to airports, I mean, Halifax Airport will have circle, there's a big circle and some other design on the floor and sort of black and then sort of white granite. And you'll see all kinds of stuff like that. We have about 25 installations around town here. If you're in Benyon Yacht Club, Benyon Yacht Club has a couple of downstairs and upstairs. There's compass roses on the floor. Really nice looking stuff. Her in-laws' house, they have backsplash, Celtic knots. They were into Celtic knots. Celtic knots there, and I think on the floor as well. And it's really, really elegant stuff. And we trialed this, and we would still be doing this if we could have found somebody very entrepreneurial to start the line of business for us. It would be an internal thing, because we were convinced there's a market. When we sold 26 installations with marginal effort. The biggest one we did is if you go down the Tarpons site, if you go across from what was the old steel plant head office there, which is Dark Rutherford's place. Across from there's a monument to all the people that made that, and there are the names of everybody that worked on the project. There's like 800 or 900 names cut into tile on the ground there. Anyway, that business, you can buy, it's just like any other business. You can go to any flooring store and they'll have various mosaics and tile designs that you can buy off the shelf. They're typically made in the Mideast or China, and it's off the shelf Middle Eastern or Chinese artwork, if that's what you want to put on your floor, if you're not into something a little more personal. And so that's the mass production side of it. And on the custom side of it, you can go get water jet shops. You can, if you are brave, you can design something, get a water jet shop, go get a tile shop to supply the tile, and you find a water jet shop who will cut it for you, and then find a tile installer who will put it in. So basically go through a laborious custom process, which you have to manage yourself, or you'll find traditional custom tile shops in bigger cities that will do that for you. We piloted and can very, very easily build something where you have a little graphical design interface, and you just do a line drawing of puzzle pieces. It figures out the grout lines for you, and you tag each piece with the colors you want. You see a mock-up of it, and then it can get you a listing of all the tile you need to cut it, how many squares of tile, so you can get a cost of material costing, and how many inches of cutting area, you get how much water hours in the water jet you have, and then you estimate formulas for everything else, so you get, in an instant, you get an estimate. Which in most custom businesses, you go to renovate or something. It's laborious for anybody who owns a renovations company, for example, like a flooring company, to go estimate stuff, right? And you can use software correctly. You can do this stuff in an instant. And then when it's done in an instant, the minute they buy, you press a button, it creates instructions that go off, and it gets made mass. It doesn't get made custom, it gets made by mass. Actually, it gets made by mass custom, what I should say. And then you got to figure out your delivery and your installation, how they deal with that. There's a wonderful business to be had there, and which we'd be happy to get involved with anybody who would be interested in doing that. Same can be applied to stained glass. There's a whole world of stained glass hobbyists who generally want to build patterns, and they end up cutting the stained glass. You're constricted in the techniques you have in terms of shapes you can cut. It's not the most fun part of the hobby. And we looked at that and said, buy a stock of stained glass, put a little website up there, and you figure out how they transfer their shapes, drawings of the shapes to you. And rather than buying glass, they get cut shapes. So they can just go right to letting them and assembling them, right? And you just completely alter that hobby for people. We believe there's a business there, very, very low overhead to get into that. Very, very easy. Stained glass can be cut by laser or water jet. So it can be cut very, very quickly. The idea of kitchen accessories, cutting out stuff if people want to make things like that, that got floated around. Custom whiteboards is one. We actually had somebody in, God, I wish I remember who it was. It was somebody from a major supplier of us, and names people might know. And he was in here, on a sales trip, and he was back into our engineering design services world. And we have these whiteboards. We have cubicles there, and a company called Technion makes them. And people wanted whiteboards, and they said, well, if we could put this week's schedule on there, just print it on there, so you just write with your marker. So it's a customized whiteboard that just clips right onto these cubicles. And this other guy walks through there and says, oh my God, you realize, somebody that travels that world, you realize how you could just sell those if you put a website together and an easy, here's the patterns you get on it, and have some standard products that fit on Hayworth and Steelcase and Technion and whatever else. And there's a business. You get up a website, and maybe it's a Shopify front end, or maybe it's a custom e-commerce front end, and you make it simple and you put some service behind it, and then stuff flows into the mass customization engine and product comes out the other end. What else we have there? Other things, fire pits, deck designs. Steve Lilly likes this idea, and so much that in fact his deck that he built, and Steve's a bit of a carpenter, and he actually just bought a condo down and sold the house because he hates mowing lawns, but he did like doing renos and stuff like that. So he just kind of frustration relief built a deck, and he built stuff. He built nice stuff, and he said instead of just having wood risers and all the railings, he said, well, why don't we cut out metal, and we'll cut out decorative patterns in metal, and then I can just they just hatch on, and you walk by, and if they walk by, Jesus, that's nice. Does that ever fit in? But again, it's design that makes it nice, and the design I forget what he put on for design, but you'd make it personal, right? Because you're making the stuff individually, and you put on whatever you want. Maybe you cut out their name, the family name on it or something. You do whatever you want on it, right? What else do we have? Yeah, fence gates, etc. That's the ideas that we've had on that have floated around. The way I am personally wired, when I see opportunity around and I see it floating away, when opportunity is knocking and nobody's answering the door, I start twitching, and it bothers me, and I start having serious problems with that, and that's where we are right now. And I look at the other side of that, and I look at a community with all kinds of entrepreneurial energy kicking around in this community, but we're a little economically disconnected. People aren't near the mainstream of commerce here. Also, we have resources around here, and everybody talk about how difficult it is to do business around here. It is not difficult to do business around here. Once you're established, it's way easier to do business in Cape Breton, to actually operate a business, than it is to operate at a place like Toronto or somewhere like that, where most business is happening in these mega cities these days. And I can tell you about 15 reasons why it's easier here. So all these pieces are swirling around. So this thing with Bob, Bob and I said, well, let's put Protocase up here and see if anybody is interested in taking some of this up. And so that is it. I probably went way over time. Sorry, I'm long-winded. Can't help it. First defect.